The biggest budget Christmas movie of the season is here, and it features some big names as well. Dwayne Johnson, Chris Evans, J.K. Simmons, and Lucy Liu among them. Let's talk about Red One. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new film Red One. This has an enormous budget, $200 to $250 million, but it is an Amazon Studios film. So this is one that they could have actually just put right on streaming. So they'll certainly make a lot of their money back in theaters, even if the first weekend, is not a blockbuster of a take. But anyway, before we get to the specifics of this film and my thoughts on it, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are one of my subscribers already, thank you so much. Always love having you guys return. But if you're not, please consider subscribing, click that notification bell, or just like this video, comment below. All that stuff, of course, helps the channel out. And we already had one Christmas review from last week called The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. That is still playing in theaters as well. That one is a little bit more meaning of Christmas, Christian-themed, family-friendly kind of stuff. But look, this one's PG-13, but I think this is a really good family flick as well. Couple of curse words. They don't fully drop the big F-bomb. It's said in part and then cut off. But look, I think this is a good family adventure Christmas movie, even if it's all not that great of a movie in total. And we'll talk about the reasons why here in just a moment. But the basic premise here is that Santa Claus, played by J.K. Simmons, and his codename is Red One, is kidnapped. The North Pole's head of security, who is played by Dwayne Johnson, must team up with one of the world's most notorious bounty hunters, played by Chris Evans, in a globe-trotting, action-packed mission to save Christmas. And this one blends a few different Christmas and I don't even know if they're all holiday myths, but mythical characters and that sort of thing. There's a huge otherworldly feel to this, and Lucy Liu plays kind of the like head commander of everything. All right, let's talk about the positives first. Let's go on the positive train for a little while. Okay, so I do think this is a fun family movie. Again, if you've got real little ones, yeah, there's a few moments of cursing here, but like the action is more cartoony and silly than it is serious, as I think we would probably expect from a family type of Christmas movie. And it's funny. Not all the time, and we'll talk about that a little bit in my negatives, but it definitely has a lot of funny moments. And Dwayne Johnson, look, he plays a similar character in just about everything, right? But he's going to have another huge movie coming out in a couple of weeks in Moana 2, where, I think he plays a bit of a different character. Maui is different from a lot of the sort of big hulking, sort of knuckleheads that he plays in a lot of these, Fast and Furious movies and what have you. He has worked with this director before, who is Jake Kasdan, son of the great Lawrence Kasdan, film director from, back in the day. But Jake Kasdan has worked with him on both of the Jumanji films. So I think he gets how to appropriately portray the Dwayne Johnson persona in whatever character he's doing. And so here, he is not human, he's otherworldly, and I think that helps sort of the mystique a little bit with the character, and him and Chris Evans have a decent enough chemistry, and J.K. Simmons, look, he's always good, he's good as Santa Claus, sure, and Kiernan Shipka plays the witch Gryla, and she is fine here. She's just doing what an evil witch does, just sort of going along with that. And I think maybe most importantly, this movie sticks the landing. I think what you want in a Christmas family movie is sort of the warm fuzzy feeling by the end. This is why we celebrate Christmas. This is why family is so important. This is why we love each other, that kind of thing. And I think this movie does stick that landing. However, moving over to the negatives, I think this movie is a bit of a jumbled mess. And there's a few reasons for that. Most of all, I think is just kind of the story on the whole. Like when you have an otherworldly and mystical kind of premise, you can basically just do whatever you want because there are no rules. Like, yes, some of this movie takes place in the real world, not a lot of it, but some of it does. And the stuff that doesn't, you could just sort of explain away with a number of different things because you're like, okay, making up your own rules as you go along. This movie has a lot of that. And there's a scene with Nick Kroll playing this sort of sleazebag that he does so well, and these ice monsters like these snowmen come out, and they just sort of again just kind of making up the rules of how to defeat whatever as we go along. So that gets a little bit tiresome because you're never really concerned that much for the main characters because okay, well somehow magic or whatever is just gonna right this wrong, so there's that. But then the CGI for a huge budget movie like this, the CGI is terrible. Now, there's two different versions of CGI here because you have the CGI creatures, which are done very well, actually. Their movements are good. They look cool. So that part is fine. But like when there's big action sequences, especially sort of like up in the sky, the CGI is horrible. I am shocked that a movie that costs over $200 million would look this shabby in those scenes. But boy, this one sure does. And then you have the humor aspect. So I mentioned that this is a funny movie. It's got a lot of funny moments actually, but there is sort of a vibe of like, are they sort of just improvising a couple of these scenes? Because there's a lot of times in this movie where they'll like cut to the Chris Evans character and he's just sort of doing a reaction shot or like saying something like, oh, well, that just happened, kind of thing as like the punchline. And I'm shocked that writers, how many writers were on this thing? Let's take a look, because usually there's a multiple. Okay, all right, well, there's only one listed, Chris Morgan. Okay. Well, I'm sure there was multiple writers involved, but there's only one listed in the credits. Okay. But still, you got to come up with some sort of punchlines or whatever, rather than just having him say, what the hell was that? I don't know. They went into that well a lot in this movie. So look, this is certainly a mixed bag, and it's definitely an average type of movie. But I will say, like I mentioned up top, I think this is a solid family-friendly Christmas movie. A couple of curse words, but other than that, I think this is going to be good for the whole family. And look, even though it's not having a great opening weekend, I think it's going to have legs because Christmas is still 6 weeks or something away, 7 weeks. So I think this is going to, stand out from the rest of the pack because, yes, we have a lot of family movies coming up, Wicked, Moana 2, whatever. But I think this is the big Christmas themed movie of the season. So I think families will be flocking to it for weeks to come. But as for my grade, I leave Red One. This has been a grade I've been giving out a lot lately. But Red One gets a C+ from me. It would have actually been a C, but it does stick that landing and, gets us in the feels, I think, by the end, which is what you want your Christmas family movie to do. So I will leave it with that plus caveat for that. But all right, thank you for watching Darren Reviews It, and I'll see you next time.